Hi, welcome to the Luxe Leap, an incredible podcast where we highlight the stories of women consultants. My name is Réland. I am the owner of Grey Digital Marketing and the host of the Luxe Leap. And I am so excited because I have one of my good friends here, Kate Dixon, and she is absolutely incredible. Kate Dixon is the author of the award-winning book, Pay Up, Unlocking Insider Secrets of Salary Negotiation. She is the principal and founder of Dixon Consulting, a B Corp certified leadership development and total rewards consultancy specializing in salary negotiation coaching, service pricing advice, compensation solutions, as well as anti-oppressive rewards for organizations of all sizes, from startups to Fortune 100 companies. Kate spent the last 30 years working for and consulting with leaders in for-profit companies including Nike, Intel, American Express, Mercari, Silver Oak Sellers, and Cascade Energy, as well as nonprofits like the Oregon Child Development Coalition, Clark County Food Bank, Learning Policy Institute, and Northwest Housing Alternatives. She's a professional certified coach and has been a certified compensation professional for over 30 years. Outside of the office, Kate enjoys discovering artisanal brownies, ooh, yummy, and loose leaf teas, spending time with her husband and tiny dog, connecting with her adult children through virtual movie nights, and doing the hokey pokey with her 2-year-old granddaughter. Hi, Kate. I'm so excited to see you. It's
So
our
excited
5-year
to see you.
friendversary. So
5-year friendversary. Yes.
welcome. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So we're going to just dive right into it. You are such an interesting human being, and I'm so happy to have you here. But I wanted to just, since it's you and I, start a little heavier than I typically would and say, when was making the leap to high ticket brand, and what fears surfaced, and how did you address them?
I remember the first proposal I sent out that was over $100,000. And, it's not like I'm a junior in this. I've been doing this for a really long time. And looking back on it, I am like, that was the dumbest thing. But it was so hard for me to hit send on that thing. And I think I'm like a lot of women, the saboteur energy comes to you like right as you're on the brink of doing something that's important and transformational. Once you press the button, it's like, oh, well, yeah, why did I wait so long? But in the moment, I was really struggling with a lot of things around, am I really worth it? And, are they going to get the value out of it? What happens if the client doesn't like what we do together? Those kinds of things come popping up. But yeah, it's like that the moment before you hit send, that's the freak out moment for me.
Those ugly scaries. I mean, I know everyone who's listening, you weren't on the call with us prior to, but I told her that it scared the living daylights out of me just to invite her to be on the show. We live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's scary to push the button.
Yeah.
So I gotta know, Kate, did they say yes?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they did.
She's like, yes,
Yeah.
they said. They
Of course
did
they
it. They
did.
went for gold.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and in retrospect, it's like, I don't, why was that hard? And I think it's, it's the socialization thing around money for women. And, I coach people on this. So you'd think that it would be easier for me, but it's, anytime you're at the brink of something important, there's part of your body that is trying to protect you from like yourself, trying to protect you from the harm that could come if things don't work out the way that you want. But you'll never get anything great if you don't push yourself and stretch yourself. That's just the bottom line.
That's incredible. So, I love the work that you do around pay up and really ensuring that women are getting paid what they deserve, but also have the confidence to go out and ask for what they deserve, because that's a big piece of it. You're right.
Mhm.
Like that level of sabotage that we create for ourselves, it's too real. I'm sure I
Yeah.
felt everybody else's stomach drop when you said it, like mine did. But when you started out, what glass ceilings were you aiming to shatter with your brand messaging and how you approach this work, especially when you went to go start to write that book?
Well, I think so. This is the second iteration that I've had of my consulting practice. The first one I had when my kids were young, and I did it for like 5.5 years. And then it's been almost 7.5 years since I started this iteration. And this iteration's different for me because I'm bringing in a lot of my own values. I do a lot of what I call anti-oppressive rewards, which is taking bias out of reward systems and stuff. And so um, for me, that was scary, but it's also a ton more fulfilling because when I work with um, nonprofits and values aligned businesses and purpose driven companies, that's really where the magic happens. That's where I can be the most effective because I really care about both of those things and holding them both, even though they can, sometimes contrast with each other. But I kind of got lost. I don't know what you asked me.
I kind of got lost. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I agree. We need this.
Yeah.
What glass ceilings were you aiming to
Oh,
shatter during those times?
well, so the glass ceiling that I was trying to shatter was really about, can these two things that don't normally travel together, can that be a valid business model? Because nobody was doing it 7 years ago. Nobody's doing it now other than us. And um, so I was really a little, you know, scared about can I make this work? Is this a viable way to be in the world and to give people access to systems that they weren't born into, to help organizations do better in this space. And I there's a guy who is on LinkedIn who's no longer my LinkedIn friend, who's really conservative and kind of made fun of me about it. And so and somebody that I had respected up until that point, and at the moment I was like, oh, should I even be trying this, or should I just go the traditional route? And I just said, why not? Why not try it? If not me, who? So,
So let's go
yeah.
for it.
So let's go for it. Let's do it.
That is actually a beautiful point and a big point of this podcast, and why I wanted you here as well as all the other women. Men in consulting seem to shape and say how we should do things in
Yes.
this space. And
Hmm.
quite frankly, that's why I wanted to give voice to all of us, because it's not necessarily right. Typically, it kind of goes against the grain of being a human. And I I'm really glad that you chose to say, forget this mess. I'm going to go after it, because
Yeah.
we wouldn't get your voice. You do such a beautiful job of uplifting others and being
Thank
able to
you.
get them there to their goals, whether it be women, whether it be people of color. And if his just like little negative connotation of bullying, because let's be real, adults are bullies too,
Hmm.
we wouldn't have the greatness that is you. So thank you for standing up to that and
Yeah. Thanks.
proving once again that.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of white guys who tell women that they can't do stuff are really doing that to preserve their privilege.
Mhm.
And what's really cool is the interesting things that I'm seeing, the really new groundbreaking solutions are coming from people who are really not interested in serving the status quo. And women, and especially women of color, are uniquely positioned to do that kind of work, to offer these true innovations. And so that gives me a lot of hope.
Thank you. I'm just going to say thank you on behalf of all my friends who look like me. Thank you. Because it's about damn time.
Hmm.
Cursing be damned. I swear almost every single episode is going to have explicit on it by the time I'm done. But having that space to give those voices, because in today's time it's trying to be suppressed again,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be. Everybody does have a voice to give to this regardless. There are some white men who aren't trying to hold on to privilege, who do a great job too. We'll
Yeah.
give you your little gold star. But there's so many voices out there, especially of women of color, who they need to finally be heard, I think.
Yes. Yes.
And
And embraced for the true groundbreaking, different perspectives, cool and innovative things that they're coming up with is, that's the cutting edge. That's where the cool stuff is happening. And the more that we can hear and embrace and support, um, the better off we will be as a society.
I firmly believe that if this world was ran by women, we would have world peace.
Right? And Wonder Woman would be like at the top of the heap for us. So
If only, if
I
only. It's
know.
gonna happen in my lifetime, I swear. So, um, I had a wonderful question for you, and then we just ended up on such a beautiful piece of it. But I'm really curious to know, when was there ever a time where you had some type of marketing campaign or new product campaign that didn't go as planned? And how did you handle it in that space to get this work out?
So I am not really great at marketing, to be honest with you. But when I've written two books, and my first book I published in 2020. So yay me! I had a COVID baby, and that is my book Pay Up. But I had all um, these great ideas and fantasies about how I wanted to market that book and having a book signing party and all this kind of stuff. And, as it came closer and closer to publication time, it came more and more obvious that it was not going to happen for me. And so I had to really get creative. How can I get the word out? How can I help people really enjoy the content that is out there that I work so hard to create? And I think through that lens of not having the traditional way of going about things, I just I I started doing a lot more speaking engagements and which I love to do. I talked to tons of kids in college, at the undergrad and graduate level, and so started having these conversations, larger conversations, and that was just so cool. And so it kind of actually got me into a piece of business that I really, really enjoy, which is the speaking engagements side of things. So yeah,
I think speaking is actually one of the best forms of marketing. That's
yeah,
so many willing ears to like listen to what you have to say. And don't get me, I'm pretty sure by the time this podcast is done, people are going to believe I don't believe in social media. It's fine. Um, it's fine.
but how do people know where you're going to speak? Social media
I
for
know it's like
sure.
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
It really is. But it's like when you're speaking, like people are there, they want to listen, like they're already invested. Most of the time they paid to be
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And when you're on social media, you're just shouting into a void, but you almost kind of need it. You need to keep shouting into the void because when you speak, someone's going to go look you up on social
yeah.
media and they need to know
Well,
you're
and
real.
you're not shouting into the void because you're shouting and people are hearing you and you don't even know what your impact is. And that's one of the things that I really learned is, I felt like I was, it's like, here's my blog post on blah blah blah. I have another blog post. And just doing all that stuff, and here's my newsletter, blah. And and I kept thinking, oh, I'm just doing this and nobody's reading it and it's not impacting. And then, every once in a while I would get these notes from people. I got, with my book, I got this picture of a 6-year-old reading my salary negotiation book at a picnic table at a park. And I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. This is so cute. And next gen, I can't believe it. Yes, she should know how to negotiate her salary,
She should.
even though she's sick. But it turned out that it was somebody who was the aunt of the person who is the mom. I don't know how this little girl got the book, um, but being able to kind of see that impact, even though it wasn't something that I saw when I was creating it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
that's so amazing. That's
Yeah.
so cute. It's so funny because I feel like little boys, we do it so naturally for them.
Mhm.
Grayson the other day was negotiating with me over getting his Nintendo back because his grades were
Nice.
good. You know,
Nice.
like, just, Mom, I feel like I earned this. And I'm like, okay, dude. Um,
Uh,
like, let's hear your best, like,
Bring
persuasive
it on.
argument.
Yeah.
And little girls, it's not what happens all the time. It happened for
Yeah.
me, so I'm not going to say it doesn't happen for all little girls. Like, my dad, when I was Grayson's age, was an attorney, and everything was a "What's your persuasive argument?" But I think he was just really prepping me for the me you get to
Mhm.
enjoy here on this podcast and in real life. Like, I got many persuasive arguments. Just give me 2 minutes. It's a miracle I'm not an attorney. But it's we need more of that. We need little
Yeah.
girls to understand how to negotiate their salary. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many times I've just signed because I was happy to have a job, not
Yes.
because
Yes.
I was getting paid my worth.
Well, and that's because those are the messages that you have been bombarded with since you were 6 years old, right? And the great news is that, young women who are coming up, I see a lot less, constraints that they feel like they have. My son is kind of my hype guy, and so he tells everybody that they have to talk to me if they're gonna negotiate their salary, and so, he was talking to his girlfriend who is amazing, and has a master's degree in biomedical engineering. Okay,
Wow.
so not smart at all, right?
No, not at all.
But she wanted to negotiate her salary, and so they said, sure, let's talk. And so, I talked to her about, how to ask for what she wanted, and this is how the conversation is likely going to go, blah blah blah. And so she was like, yeah, great, doing it. And I get this call back, and she's like, okay, well, we talked about doing this, and so I did this, and this is what happened, and I'm like, that's awesome, and she got great results, but she wasn't constrained by, oh, I can't ask for that, and what, are they gonna like tell me I'm not worth it? And she just, she went into the conversation thinking, well, this is how you do it, and you're an expert, and so I'm going to do it that way, and I'm going to try it. And women of my age, and even down to some millennials, they still have been conditioned around, yeah, no, don't ask for it. And maybe part of it is that, this young woman that I coached, was a college athlete, and
Yeah.
so she's used to having coaching for other stuff, and so that might have been part of the equation too. But it does give me hope that it's getting better.
It's getting better. I
Yeah.
mean, it's getting better because you have women like yourself. You have, honestly, women like me, because I coached cheer for forever, and it wasn't just coaching the sport. It was, no, ladies, like, we go for what we want. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Mhm.
And it is it going to take time? Yes. Life looks so much different than it did when I was 6. That was 1996. Like, that math is fast for me. But life is not the same as it was then.
No.
Women aren't just gonna sit there and be pretty anymore for people's enjoyment. It's We want to be heard,
Mhm.
and we will
And
be
our
heard. It's not even
enjoyment,
want to, like, we will be.
yeah. Yeah, and our enjoyment is, part of the process too. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And this is the way it should be. So, um, last thing in the past, looking back, what are the biggest lessons you've learned as a leader so far?
Hmm. Um, I think the number one thing I've learned as a leader is that I don't have to know everything. And that was, I mean, it's not, oh, of course you don't have to know everything. But I was brought up, I mean, part of the management, model that I was taught is that you have to know everything that everybody in your team knows, and then some.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a damaging thing for your team. The team wants to contribute as well, and so if you're not having to be the expert in everything, and people can blossom and be the expert in their realm, it's gonna be great for everybody. And so, somebody who was really rewarded for my intellect through my life, that was just a shocking thing. And then, another thing I learned was not everybody likes to brainstorm, which I was very shocked about when I learned um, early in my manager career. And of course, it's my favorite thing to do in the
It's
entire
my
world.
favorite
And
thing to do in the entire world.
I could not believe it. I had a situation where we were doing quarterly planning. I brought bagels, we had Sharpies, we had all of the,
All the things.
Post-its and all the things. And so we were doing all this brainstorming, and this woman who worked for me, who you're not supposed to have favorites, but she was my favorite. And she kept getting quieter and quieter throughout the morning. And I thought, "Yeah, this is super weird." And at the end of the session, I talked to her and I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I am not okay. This was awful for me." And I'm like, "Oh, what? What?" And it turns out that her the way that she likes to process information is she likes to think about stuff and prepare. And so,
Mm.
just having a topic and saying, go, let's brainstorm, let's think about it, that was a lot of pressure on her, and it was really uncomfortable for her.
Oh,
And so I was devastated, of course. But I asked her what would help her, and she's like, well, if I can get the topics ahead of time, then I'll feel more prepared. And I'm like, well, sure. Yes, we could totally do that. And we did that the next time, and she had her little notebook, and she was so excited, and she had all these amazing points to bring in. And I thought, wow, this is really, this is a big lesson for me as a leader. Um,
wow.
and for her to be that open to really teaching me in that moment was spectacular. So a ton of credit to my former most favorite person who worked for me, who I
That
can't
is
say her
that
name,
is
but she's
so
amazing.
incredible though,
Yeah,
because I would have been just like you. I love brainstorming. If I
it's the
had to
funnest
open a
thing.
second business, it would be a think tank, and I would just
Right?
you'd come to me, we'd come up with ideas, you'd leave with ideas, go make $1,000,000. Like, that would be the
I
dream come true.
know. It'd be the best.
And I mean, I guess in ways that is what I do to a certain extent, but like brainstorming is the coolest, funnest activity, and I can see why she needed that preparation. I've seen people
Hmm.
who do interact that way, and like having that pre-structure helps, and then sometimes it's hard for like someone like myself. I don't know if you ever feel this way, Kate, where you're like, I just have like a general idea and I need to talk it out. I need that
Yeah.
brainstorming for it to actually have structure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
That processing, yeah, that's important.
because I am the queen of post-it notes and cards and
Yeah.
give me a Miro board any day of the
This
week.
is this is like a whole whiteboard that fills up my whole wall, and it's covered in,
Sticky note.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all colors, but the colors are coded. So yeah.
Hey, I'm the same way. Like, it's just they each have a point and purpose.
Hmm.
It's like a living command board where I can
Yeah,
move stuff.
that's exactly what it is. That's why, I have, the not started, in progress, complete, at risk. I mean, and that's what that
That
is.
is literally what it is.
It's a Kanban, but yeah, that's what it is. So
That speaks to my heart.
yeah.
Every office I've ever had, the joke was always, as I was managing, was always, Raylan's office looks like the beautiful mind, and you cannot erase anything because she knows exactly what it means and where it is.
I knew that we liked each other for a really specific reason. That's got to be it.
It has to be it. Our brains are like moving at the same pace of like,
Exactly.
let's do this. Oh my goodness. So, um, this is like the beautiful segue. It's almost like we just answered this question, but you might have more things deeper into it. What habits or routines help drive you and your brand towards future success?
Yeah, so my Kanban board for sure. But I also, I'm a huge fan of Evernote because it's one of those things that I can use it on my computer, on my iPad, on my phone to keep track of stuff that I want to do or ideas that I have because I have so many ideas. Um, and, before they would just like fly away, I would have a great idea. And, having the idea is like 90% of the fun. But, if you can actually harness those and use them later, it's fantastic. Especially, for me as somebody who writes books, it's important for me to have a trusted source for that. But but I have a very I'm not a systems person, but there are a couple of things that I'm really systematized in, and one of them is my to-do list. And so every year I create strategic objectives, things that I want to accomplish. And so I have my to-do list chunked up into each of those categories. I have my chart categorized in the same way. But that helps me make sure that I'm keeping track of everything. And then it gives me I check it off and then it puts a line through it so I can still read it. But all of these checked off things, it just makes my heart sing. So,
Makes your heart sing.
a little bit of a dopamine snack every time I check something off. But honestly, people are like, well, how do you write books and have a consulting practice and do all it's because I have to
Because you're
do
organized.
stuff that way to keep track of things.
No, I totally get it. I have ADHD, and I was in a group, like a mastermind group, and somebody else also has ADHD, and they're like, I just want to be like you and get all these things done. I'm like, it's because I had to create systems around myself to
Mhm.
make all these ideas come to fruition.
Yeah.
Because, for example, the other day I was like reading emails I needed to create freebies for. And I'm like going through it. I started creating one and I like left it. And then I went to Pilates and I did like 20 different things. And I'm like in the middle of Pilates on the reformer. And I was like, oh shoot, I have an idea to add to that. And I had to like get up, go to my phone and add it to my Notion.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's really important I write this down.
Yeah. Yeah, and give yourself permission to do that kind of stuff because, the cost of not keeping track of stuff and not, losing that momentum or losing that idea, you probably could get it back at some point, but just let yourself have that moment and commit to it. It's important.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I don't think you were part of this conversation that night. It was a really funny conversation where the best ideas happen in the shower. Don't worry that that's 5 years ago. I still remember this conversation. And I feel like the same thing happens for me on the reformer, or if I go for a run,
Yep.
or if I'm in the middle of dancing, like it's always when I'm in motion.
Mhm.
And so those big ideas just happen. And so having a way to do that, to process that, whether it's a tool like Notion or a tool like Evernote, if you're listening, is this is the one thing that helps people get a lot of stuff done. So please
Mhm.
put your notes somewhere where they can be accessed at any time. Because sometimes, yes, a notebook in your purse might work. But if you're like me and you switch your purse every, maybe even 3 times in a day, it could get lost.
Mhm. Well, and there's a reason that you get ideas in the shower or when you're working out and all that kind of stuff. It's that mind body connection, that embodiment, right? There's a reason why stuff comes at you just as you're falling asleep. So if you can make it the path of least resistance to do the right thing and capture that information, you're halfway home.
I love it. So, Kate, as we're getting closer to time here, I could keep you on here for 3 hours, like no
And I
problem.
can stay on here for 3 hours. It's so fun
Um,
to talk to you.
I want to know, what future developments are you most excited about this year?
I think, it's my 4th book. My 3rd book I'm excited about, but I'm not as excited about it as my 4th book, and that both of them I'm hopefully going to be publishing this year. But my 4th book is about anti-oppressive pay, so that's taking systems of bias out of, total reward, so pay and benefits and stuff like that, and so, um this is a definite labor of love. I'm really excited about it. And I'm really scared about it. And so I think it's going to be, when I press that button, the submit button, that's going to be a monumental thing for me this year. So that's what I'm most excited about.
It's coming at the right time, though. I know it's scary, but it's coming at the right time.
Yeah.
The world needs it right now.
Yes.
Or at least our corner of the world needs it right now.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that everybody needs it, but not everybody's going to take their medicine.
Okay, that's true. Not everybody doesn't eat their spinach, what have you.
Exactly.
But we can start to nudge them towards it. Let's be honest, the first people who are going to read it are the ones who don't necessarily need it or they already believe it.
Yeah.
But we'll get it into the hands of those who need to make the change. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Groundswell.
Mm-hmm. It's inevitable.
Yes.
It's absolutely inevitable. And it's going to make a difference. And that's the most impactful, important part.
Let's hope.
So now for some fun questions.
Okay.
What does a day of living a luxurious life look like to you?
I think for me, it's being intentional about the work that I want to do and the impact that I want to make, and the being in the body that I want to be in. So that's luxury. Having a nutritious breakfast and working with clients that I love, and spending time with my family, maybe the hokey pokey with my 2-year-old granddaughter. That to me is the true luxe life, right? Is really having the privilege to make the choices that are going to make the difference.
Oh my gosh, I love it. The hokey pokey has a special place in my heart. And so every time we've said it today, I just think about right now is the same time as cheer championships in Oregon, state championships. And before my kids would ever go on the mat, we did the hokey pokey to get them to calm down.
Excellent. I love that.
So I could just picture you doing it with your granddaughter. I could just see me doing it with a bunch of teenage girls. Like, hokey pokey has power.
It does have power, and it'll have even more power when that little girl figures out which is her left side and how to actually physically get all the parts moving in the right way. But we just have a lot of fun in the meantime.
I mean, right now she's just throwing hands in there to throw hands in there.
Yeah, spinning. It's really all about the turning
around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, 2 is such a fun age. It's so perfect. And then last one, best one. In one word, what is your primary motivation in business?
Impact.
I love it. I feel like you really, really brought home what impact looks like in the future and what impact can be made as a consultant today. Absolutely incredible. It's such a joy to have mind share with you and spend time with you. Yeah. I'm so grateful that you're here today. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been a treat.
Oh, thank you. So where can people find you if they want to connect?
So on LinkedIn, for sure, Kate Dixon Coach. My website is katedixon.org. If you go to the com space, it's going to be a sculptor in the UK, but katedixon.org. And you can find my book, Pay Up, or that's my first book. My second book is called Name Your Price, and that's for coaches and consultants on pricing your services. And both of those books are available on my website, and they're also available on Amazon and anywhere you buy books. So, yeah.
I love it. All right, everybody, go out and go get that book because you need to name your price. It's a beautiful thing, and it feels really, really good when you do it. So, and somebody says yes. So, yes. Everyone, thank you for listening. We're really grateful you could be here with us today and take out a little bit of time to listen to us share Kate's story. And we hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.